Today we're talking about the importance of growing up and putting away childish things. There was a post by someone, a woman, who said that it's a really big turnoff when guys like stupid hobbies like cosplaying Lord of the Rings or collecting video game collectibles or playing video games or anything like that. So basically, it was one of those women who like to say that nerds are not manly enough, and so therefore she turns her nose up at them. First of all, I would say that's totally fine. If a woman doesn't like nerds, she can find somebody who's not a nerd. Like, that's totally, free country. Go for it. And I would say also to that, as a guy, I am not really in the mood to watch an entire season of Grey's Anatomy. And I don't like fat women either. So you know what? It's also your body, your choice. You can be obese if you want. You can binge watch whatever TV show you want. But I also don't dig that. So, that could be a situation where you just go your way. You do you. And I will have my collectibles because they don't cause me any trouble. But more specifically, while I think that that is a toxic attitude which is pervasive probably amongst a lot of people, not just women and not just in the dating community, this notion that you can throw stones at other people's hobbies or other people's interests and say that they're stupid, when the reality is all you want is to create an environment where your partner or other people in your life don't have anything that they're interested in other than serving your interest. And there are women like that. They want a guy that's going to be very invested in his career. Why? Because they want a guy who's going to make it so that they can have a free pass in life, so that they don't have to work. They can just go shopping with their man's credit card. And that is pretty toxic. You can say it's traditional. But you know what is also true? We do not live in caveman times. So if you want to say that we live in a world where the man has to be the breadwinner to fight the savage beasts and bring home the meat, okay, then you're also going to have to say that women are going to exist in subservient roles. You're going to have to say that you do not believe in women's empowerment. You're going to have to throw out all of those other traditional things too. And then, sure, it can be that way. The strongest man gets the most breedable woman, and she surrenders all of her rights, all of her privileges, and does coincidentally get taken care of and protected from physical threats in exchange. But the truth is that's not the world we live in. The truth is we have evolved beyond the law of the jungle. So it just isn't really fair to say you're going to use that particular standard and apply it to modern times. Because no matter who it is that's saying guys need to be, manly enough to deserve a real woman. Well, if you want to go down that path, then you're also going to have to say that women are going to have to be feminine enough to deserve a real man. Or you can just say that we believe in respecting others and that everything should be done in moderation. So I agree. If you are a guy and you can't hold a job and you're mired in debt, you're making bad decisions in your life, and all you're doing is sitting in your mom's basement playing video games instead of developing a career or getting a job or investing your money, then yeah, that's a problem. And it's also a problem that's going to prevent you as an individual from being able to have a meaningful relationship, from being a good parent, and so on. The list just keeps on going. You do have to be responsible with your life if you want to be able to be a steward of greater things. And there are people who need to hear that message. But what about people who just want to enjoy their life? You know, I have a friend who likes snowboarding and golfing. And, you know, that's not really my thing. Like once in a while, I will go to a golf course with him, or we'll talk about doing some of this stuff, and I might do it just because we're buddies. Like that's it. I don't care one way or the other about those hobbies, but those are important hobbies to him. And his ex-girlfriend, when she was there, she would pretty much just kind of frown on all that stuff. And so he kind of, during that time, he gave up these hobbies because it just wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth the added effort to try to have the hobbies because he had a woman in his life who pretty much just wanted everything to be about her. And there's a lot of women like that. Like my ex-wife was like that as well, just in a different way. But I watched as, you know, my friends vanished, and any personal hobbies that I had before kind of seemed like they just sort of faded away in married life because, you know, it wasn't about her. So it kind of just seemed like, you know what, I guess it's just better not to, you know, not to even really think about doing any of those things I used to do before, because it's going to just turn into some kind of a problem. So I'll just sit at home and, you know, not do anything. So the point I'm getting at is there's a lot of people who will act like they're making a call for value when really all they're doing is being manipulative. But the other side of the coin is that there is this concept that we have to grow up. We have to grow out of what we were and into something new. You don't want to just be a child forever. A child in the sense that you've never learned how to evolve, how to grow, how to become something more than what you were. But that really has nothing to do with wanting to collect Lord of the Rings trinkets and put them on your shelf. It has nothing to do with wanting to be an MMO or RPG fan. It's not about that kind of thing. What it is a very personal journey of understanding that there's things in your life that you want to work on. There's things in your life that you think are holding you back. Not a video game hobby, not personal interests that don't align with your significant other, not anything like that. That's just a bunch of hogwash. The things, though, that really matter are the things that you've said you'd work on. The things that you know you need to do better at. And you always say, well, I'll get to it one of these days. I'm working on it. My question to you then is, how long are you going to be working on it. So you said that you were going to reach a place of financial well-being, but you keep on spending money you don't have on the credit card. You said you were going to become more respectful of others, and yet you're still doing the water cooler gossip. You said that you were going to be more respectful, and yet you aren't yet. You said you were going to overcome some sort of a substance addiction, and yet you're still doing it. You see, the real challenges, the real risks that do us overwhelming harm and harm potential good relationships in our life are all the times when we ourselves organically reach the conclusion that we need to change our lives. But then instead of changing our lives to do the things that we've said we believe, we proceed to opt for more of the same. While we say that one of these days, at some point in the future, things will be different. But the truth is, time goes by like a rushing river very rapidly. You know, as I make this video right now, I'm looking at my YouTube dashboard there, a list of all the videos I publish, and I realize, you know, I took a break from publishing videos just because I guess I got kind of busy, stopped thinking about it, thought, you know, I'll get to it in a little bit. And then one day turned into a week, and 1 week turned into a month. And, you know, it's just that quick. And it's not the end of the world. But I think about how many times I've said to myself, you know, I enjoy making the little videos. I want to publish one every day. Sometimes I sit there and I make several of them and then set them so that they'll publish throughout the week, because that helps me. It's not super hard to do it. It's basically kind of just an online verbal form of journaling. That's really all this is. It's a chance to share thoughts and you know, get my mind flowing and you know, have a connection with other people, which I think is really cool. But it's so easy to just not live up to goals that I set. Maybe they're not big goals, maybe they're little goals, but are they hard goals? And the answer is no. How hard is it to turn on the camera, make a 15-minute video at some point during the day? And yet how easy is it for me to fall off the wagon and not do it for a while, right? And, you know, I'm not saying anything about content creation here. That's not really the point of why I brought it up. Though I will say, you know, Asmongold once said something very meaningful, and that was, if you want to be successful, you got to turn on the camera, you know? And that applies to life, though, doesn't it? Like, you can say you want your life to be different, but if you continue to refuse to do anything differently, your life is not going to be different. And life is too short for us to put off things that we said we wanted to change so that we can get to it down the road sometime. A month goes by, in hindsight, feeling like a week. A year goes by, in hindsight, feeling like a month. 3 months go by, and you blink your eyes and realize another quarter of a year is behind you. So if there's things you wanted to do, like eat better, or work on your social skills, or treat people more kindly, or give up on some of the polarizing political stuff that you like to consume, I don't know what it is for you. I can only speak to things that maybe resonate in my life. Maybe it's a career change. You know, I'll bring that up because that's very relevant to me right now. I've done my current job for quite a while. I mean, not an extremely long time, but I've been in my current role within my business for 5 years. It's not new anymore. I want to go do something different, something that's more challenging, something that's maybe more uplifting, something that uses my talent to its potential. And I've thought about looking at different roles that I can take within my organization. But then there's also that voice in my head that says, you know what? You've got it pretty good right now. Why not just sit there? Why not just let another year go by? You know, it's a stable salary. Don't have any problems with my coworkers. You know, not growing, not developing new relationships. I'm not necessarily where I want to be for the rest of my life, you know, but it'd be pretty easy to just say, well, I'll just stay there for another year. Until you realize that more important than money, more important than any measurable physical resource, is time. Because you can always get more money, but you're never going to get an allotment of more time. And so we waste time in our lives by doing things, not by doing things that other people don't think we should be doing. Like I said early in my video, I don't care if somebody else thinks that what I like is stupid. That's their problem. They can move on. What I care about is when I think the things I'm doing are stupid. When I waste that 2 hours scrolling through random news feeds on Reddit instead of doing something that I really wanted to do. And I wonder, why is it that yet again I wasted a few hours of a day that I'll never get back? When I hear about people playing a 10th playthrough of Skyrim, and I wonder why it is that somehow I never, despite having plenty of time to do it, I still haven't actually finished my first playthrough of Skyrim. There's plenty of time in life for us to do what's right. There's plenty of time in our lives for us to do what we want to do. But not if we continue to live every day the same way as we lived everyone before it. And so it is in our hands to choose whether we grow up or whether we just grow stagnant. And as with all things, there are the things that get picked on, you know, like being a kid and having your parents say you're going to rot your brains out by playing computer games like mine did. And then you realize that it wasn't the computer games that rotted my brains out and cost me years of my life. It was stuff like credit card debt. It was working 80 hours a week and not believing in work-life balance and allowing other people's manipulation to cost me the opportunity to have meaningful relationships, personal hobbies. That's the kind of stuff that hits you hard. But most of all, the things that really hit us the hardest are the things that we ourselves have always known. The things that we always wanted to do, but we never actually bothered to do. Then we look back and we realize how much it's cost us when it's too late to get our time back. But for most of us, we still have some time. Because if you're here, you're watching one of these videos, you're a person who's still alive. Which means that tomorrow can be a better day than today. Maybe it's going to work on Monday and being mindful to spend your time in a more efficient way. Maybe it's taking some time off so that you can get a few hobby-related things caught up on. Maybe it's finding the courage to be honest instead of kicking a can down the road. Whatever it is, We can't always be in a state of saying one day we'll work through our problems and get to a point where we're good. There has to be a place in our life before we reach the end of it when we can say that we're good now. That doesn't mean that we're not going to grow more. It doesn't mean that we're not going to evolve more. It doesn't mean that as time goes on, the spectrum of your experiences doesn't change. But the big rocks, they need to get handled. Because if you're still fighting the demons you were fighting in your 20s, when you hit your 40s, there's a point where you're not gonna overcome them. You're not gonna grow better. Because if you were going to overcome those things, you would have done it a long time ago. Most of the time when somebody's addicted to something, when something is controlling or consuming a person's life, the point when you change your life for the better is when you hit rock bottom and you realize that the consequences are so significant that you actually have decided now that from this instant onward, you will never again look back. That's where we need to go. That's not where we need to be. And we should always understand that while we are under no obligation to live by the standards others project onto us, we are under a mandate to do what we believe is right. So if you think that you should change your life, do not allow those changes to be kicked down the road for a future, more convenient time. The truth is that convenient time will never come unless it comes right now. As always, invest in things which bring joy and good fruit into your life. Good relationships, good activities, things which are edifying and spiritually uplifting. And as always, best of luck on your adventure. Till next time, thanks for watching.